This is the 12th of February, day 3 of the 10th through the 14th challenges and foundational skills. And this one is visual design and interaction design principles. And this is either taking what you've done over the past 2 days or yesterday or even Monday and changing it into a high fidelity design, because you could go straight from your heuristics and the challenges you found with your heuristics into a high fidelity design, but you could also go through low fidelity to high fidelity, or you could start anew. You could find even now a third site and just redesign it from a high fidelity perspective, addressing some user experience usability issues that you find. And I think one thing I do want to emphasize here is that sometimes people will separate user interface design, visual design from UX. But the interesting thing about it all is that we all have reactions to colors, lines, line thicknesses, gestalt, principles, how things are clustered based on how they're styled, how the size of them, how they're aligned, so on and so forth. And all of that is how an experience communicates to someone. Oftentimes I think people have a tendency to think that if we're not taking an action with our hands, if we don't see something moving in front of us, there's not an interaction happening. But as your eyes move, as your brain processes information and changes it from broad understanding to specific understanding, that's an interaction. And so there is some, and I would argue a lot of UX in the UI practice. I would say the way some companies are organized, the way they do UI, they don't treat it as UX, but there is a fair amount, if not a lot, of UX in the practice of UI. If this seemed like too big a challenge to redesign an entire page, not an entire website, but just one page without loading into something else, you could potentially just redesign the areas that you think are a challenge. And there are 2 ways I would typically do that. One is I would take a full screen cap of the website, and then I would cut out the parts that I'm not going to redesign, and I would put them in my prototype, and then I would design between those spaces to fill in sort of the things that I want to do. If you could use a demo on that, I may be able to produce one fairly quickly, but I think that's pretty straightforward. Just let me know. This article, much like the low fidelity prototypes, just talks about high fidelity prototypes, why you use them, when you use them, what the value of them is. So definitely check it out, and good luck on day 3.